Have you ever been so tired behind the wheel that the road ahead almost feels like a dream? That's where I was the night I met her. It was late November, the kind of night when the cold seeps through your jacket no matter how high you crank the heat in the car. I was driving home from a work conference in another state, trying to make it back without stopping for the night. My GPS had routed me through a stretch of highway I wasn't familiar with, Route 19. Long, winding, empty. No gas stations, no towns, just endless woods on either side. At first it felt peaceful. My headlights painted the trees in fleeting gold as I hummed along to the radio. But as the clock ticked past midnight, a strange weight settled over the road. The silence between songs grew heavier, and the darkness outside seemed thicker, almost pressing against the glass. That's when I saw her. Up ahead, maybe 50 yards in front of me, was a woman walking along the shoulder of the road. She wore a pale dress that seemed too thin for the weather, and her long black hair swayed as she walked. At first, I thought she must have broken down somewhere, maybe left her car behind. But when I slowed down, rolling down the window just enough to call out, she didn't look at me. She just kept walking, slow and steady, her bare feet crunching against the gravel. "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help?" I called. Nothing. She didn't even flinch. Now, I don't usually pick up strangers at night, but the way she moved, so calm, so deliberate, made something in my chest tighten. Against my better judgment, I pulled over and leaned across the seat. "Do you want a ride? It's freezing out here." This time she stopped. Slowly she turned her head toward me. Her face was pale, unnaturally pale, and her eyes looked wrong. They were too dark, like pools of ink that swallowed the headlights instead of reflecting them. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then, without saying a word, she opened the passenger door and slid in. The air in the car dropped 10 degrees instantly. My breath fogged in front of me and a faint smell, like damp earth, filled the space. I forced a smile, trying to stay calm. "Where are you headed?" I asked, pulling back onto the road. She didn't answer. She just stared straight ahead, hands folded neatly in her lap. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Minutes crawled by in silence. The radio fizzled with static, every station cutting out until only white noise remained. I shut it off, the silence pressing even harder against my ears. Finally I tried again. "Were you walking long? Do you live nearby?" Her head turned, slowly, almost mechanically. Then she spoke for the first time, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Keep driving." My throat went dry. I swallowed hard and nodded, eyes glued to the road. The longer she sat beside me, the stranger things became. The dashboard lights flickered, shadows in the back seat seemed to twitch, and my headlights didn't reach as far as they should have. It felt like the night itself was folding around the car. Finally, after what felt like forever, she spoke again. "Turn left." I looked at the GPS. The screen was frozen, the little arrow stuck in place. According to it, there wasn't even a left turn for miles. But up ahead, just as she said, a dirt road cut into the trees. I don't think this is the right way," I stammered. Her eyes slid toward me, sharp and unblinking. "Turn left." Against every screaming instinct in my body, I turned. The tires crunched over gravel as we entered the narrow path. Trees closed in on either side, their bare branches clawing at the roof. My headlights illuminated nothing but endless forest. "Where are we going?" I whispered. She tilted her head, a small smile tugging at her lips. "You'll see." My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. The road grew rougher, the trees denser. Then, up ahead, the forest suddenly opened into a small clearing. At the center was an old wooden house, its windows dark, its roof sagging with rot. "Stop here," she said. I shook my head. "No, I don't think." Her hand shot out, gripping my wrist with ice-cold fingers. Despite her thin frame, her grip was iron. She leaned closer, and for the first time I could smell her breath, like stagnant water and decay. "Stop here." I slammed the brakes, my car skidding to a halt just feet from the house. My pulse roared in my ears. She let go of my wrist, opening the passenger door without hesitation. She stepped out slowly, her white dress glowing faintly in the moonlight. At the doorway of the house, she paused, turned back toward me, and whispered one last thing before slipping inside. "You shouldn't have picked me up." The door creaked shut behind her, and the clearing fell into silence. I sat frozen, hands trembling on the wheel, staring at that rotting house. I don't know how long I sat there, too afraid to move. Finally, adrenaline kicked in. I threw the car into reverse and tore back down that dirt road, branches scraping against the sides, my chest heaving with panic. When I finally reached the highway again, the GPS blinked back to life as if nothing had ever happened. I didn't stop until I reached the next town, where I pulled into a brightly lit gas station and sat there until dawn. The strangest part? When I looked at the side of my car the next morning, the paint was scratched and dented from the branches, proof that I hadn't imagined it. But on the passenger seat where she had sat, there was a damp, muddy imprint. 2 bare footprints, pressed into the fabric as if she was still there. And I swear, sometimes when I drive at night, alone on empty roads, I catch a glimpse of her in the rearview mirror. Just sitting quietly in the back seat, waiting. If you enjoyed these chilling tales and want more, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for more scary stories. People always warn you about picking up strangers at night. But what they don't tell you is sometimes the stranger isn't even alive. It was the summer of 2016, and I had just finished a late shift at the diner I worked at. Midnight had passed and I still had a 2-hour drive home through mostly rural backroads. My old Honda rattled along the quiet asphalt as the moon lit up the empty fields around me. About 30 minutes into the drive, I saw something ahead on the shoulder. At first, I thought it was an animal, but as I got closer, I realized it was a person. A young man stood there, maybe in his early 20s. He was wearing a Letterman jacket, the kind from high school sports teams, and he was holding out his thumb for a ride. His face looked pale, his hair wet as if he had been caught in the rain. The strange thing was, it hadn't rained all week. I told myself to keep going. I even gripped the wheel tighter, trying to ignore him. But as I passed, I caught a glimpse of his eyes in the rearview mirror. They were wide and desperate, like someone drowning, begging for help. My chest tightened. Against my better judgment, I slowed down and pulled over. He jogged up to the car, opening the passenger door without asking. "Thanks," he muttered, sliding in with a shiver. "No problem," I said, forcing a smile. "Where you headed?" He gave me the name of a small town that happened to be along my route. I nodded and put the car back in gear. For the first few minutes he was quiet, just staring out the window, dripping water onto the seat. I finally tried making conversation. "Rough night, huh? You out here walking alone?" He didn't look at me. "Car broke down," he muttered. Something about his voice made my skin prickle. It was flat, almost hollow, like every word was being dragged out of him. "Where's your car?" I asked. He turned his head slowly, his pale face catching the glow of the dashboard. His lips twitched into a small, almost broken smile. "Back there." I glanced in the mirror, but all I saw was an empty stretch of road vanishing into the dark. The silence stretched. My hands felt clammy on the steering wheel. Every instinct told me something wasn't right. His clothes weren't just damp, they were soaked, clinging to his skin as if he had just climbed out of a lake. "So, what happened exactly?" I asked, my voice thin. He finally looked at me and his eyes were glassy, unfocused, like he was staring through me. "We didn't make the turn," he whispered. "The bridge was too slick." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Before he could answer, something hit the roof of my car with a sharp metallic bang. I jerked the wheel, swerving back onto the road, my heart racing. "What the hell was that?" I gasped. The hitchhiker didn't move. He just turned his gaze back to the window. "They're still out there." My blood ran cold. I wanted to slam on the brakes and kick him out, but fear rooted me to the seat. The road stretched endlessly ahead, my headlights the only source of light. Then, just as suddenly as he appeared, I realized I couldn't hear him breathing anymore. I risked a glance. The passenger seat was empty. I nearly drove off the road. My hands trembled violently as I slowed the car, pulling over to the shoulder. The seatbelt on the passenger side was still buckled, droplets of water soaking into the fabric. I sat there for a long moment, my chest heaving, when movement in the mirror caught my eye. Out of the corner of the glass, I saw him again, sitting in the back seat, dripping water, his face pale and lifeless. I spun around, but the back seat was empty. My breathing came out ragged and sweat trickled down my temples. I didn't know what to do, so I did the only thing that made sense. I drove fast. When I finally made it into town, I pulled into the first gas station I saw. The fluorescent lights felt like salvation. I sat there for several minutes, gripping the wheel, trying to steady myself. That's when an old man pumping gas at the next pump walked over, noticing my pale face. "You all right there, son?" he asked. I hesitated, then blurted out the story. "I think I picked up someone on the road. A hitchhiker." But then he disappeared. The man's face grew serious. He lowered his voice. "What road?" "Route 12, I whispered. He sighed heavily and shook his head. Son, there hasn't been a bridge on Route 12 for 30 years. Washed out in a storm back in the 80s. Whole carload of kids drowned that night. Baseball team. Folks say you still see one of them sometimes trying to hitch a ride home. My stomach lurched. I looked down at the passenger seat again. The wet imprint was still there, water dripping slowly onto the floor mat. The old man patted my shoulder. Best advice? If you ever see him again, don't stop. I never took that road again after dark. But sometimes when I'm driving late at night, I still glance at the rearview mirror. And every now and then I swear I see him. Sitting silently in the back seat, dripping water, waiting for another driver to make the same mistake. If you enjoyed these chilling tales and want more, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for more scary stories. Most people think the scariest part of driving at night is falling asleep at the wheel or hitting an animal. But sometimes the real danger is what's behind you. It was around 2 a.m. when I left my cousin's wedding reception. The venue was way out in the country, and I had a 2-hour drive back to my apartment. The highway was quiet, just long stretches of asphalt lined with trees, the kind of drive where you almost forget you're moving at all. I wasn't nervous. Not yet. But that changed about 40 minutes into the trip. I noticed headlights appear in my rearview mirror. At first I thought nothing of it, just another late-night traveler. But when I glanced again a few minutes later, the same truck was still there, closer this time. Its headlights were large and bright, like they belonged to some heavy-duty pickup. I shifted lanes expecting the truck to pass. But it didn't. It matched my speed perfectly. Okay, I muttered under my breath, tapping the wheel. Maybe they were just zoning out. I pressed the accelerator a little, putting some distance between us. For a moment it worked. The headlights shrank in the mirror. Relief washed over me, until I saw them grow larger again. The truck was speeding up, closing the gap, its headlights glaring like white-hot eyes. I changed lanes again. So did the truck. My throat tightened. Maybe it was a coincidence, I told myself. Maybe the driver just happened to be going the same way. But as the miles dragged on, it became impossible to ignore. Every move I made, the truck mirrored. I turned off the highway onto an exit ramp. The truck followed. I tried another turn onto a narrow 2-lane road lined with fields. The truck stayed behind me, its headlights flooding my mirrors until I could barely see. That's when panic set in. My heart pounded as I gripped the steering wheel. Who the hell was behind me? What did they want? I pressed harder on the gas, my little sedan roaring down the dark road. The truck kept up easily, its engine growling behind me like a predator chasing prey. Suddenly, its high beams clicked on, blinding me completely. I cried out, swerving slightly before regaining control. Spots danced in my vision. I honked my horn in frustration, but the truck didn't back off. It was deliberate. Whoever was behind me wasn't just following, they were toying with me. I spotted a small gas station up ahead, its neon sign flickering. I pulled in fast, tires screeching against the pavement. For a moment I thought I was safe. But when I looked back, the truck slowed at the entrance, its headlights dimming. It lingered there, idling like it was watching me. I tried to act calm, stepping out to pump gas, pretending like nothing was wrong. But my hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold the nozzle. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the truck still sitting there, engine rumbling low. After what felt like forever, it finally pulled away, disappearing down the road. Relief hit me like a wave. Maybe it really had been nothing. Maybe the driver was drunk or just being an asshole. I told myself I was fine, got back in my car and kept driving. But 20 minutes later, I saw the headlights again. My chest tightened. The same truck. It had doubled back. Now I was really scared. I wasn't armed, my phone had barely 1 bar of service, and the road ahead was empty for miles. I pressed harder on the gas, flying down the dark road, my engine whining in protest. The truck matched me easily, its headlights blazing. I tried calling 911, but the line cut out before it even rang. My hands shook violently as I shoved the phone back down. Then, up ahead, I saw a stretch of construction. Orange cones funneled the road into a single lane. My stomach dropped. If the truck tried to ram me here, I had nowhere to go. As I entered the narrow lane, I held my breath. The truck loomed close, its engine snarling, its high beams blinding me again. For a second I thought this was it. But then, out of nowhere, the truck swerved violently into the cones. It roared past me on the shoulder, kicking up gravel, and disappeared into the night. Just like that, it was gone. I didn't slow down until I saw the lights of the next town. I pulled into a well-lit diner and parked, too shaken to move. Inside, I sat at the counter trying to calm down, when a man a few stools over spoke. He had been watching me, sipping coffee with steady eyes. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he said. I forced a shaky laugh. "Not a ghost. A truck. Some psycho just followed me for miles. Nearly ran me off the road." The man's expression didn't change. He leaned closer, his voice low. "Was it a black Ford? Lifted, with a busted left headlight?" My mouth went dry. "Yeah. How'd you?" He sighed, shaking his head. "You're not the first. Folks around here talk about it. That truck's been chasing people on these roads for years." I frowned. "What do you mean, chasing?" "They say a guy died out there. A trucker. Got drunk, ran a car off the road into a ditch. Whole family died. He didn't make it either. Now, sometimes late at night, people see his truck. He follows them, plays with them just like he did that night. Doesn't stop until he scares the hell out of you, or worse." I stared at him, my skin crawling. He nodded toward the window where my car sat under the streetlight. "If you're lucky, he's done with you. But if not, you'll see those headlights again." I left the diner hours later when the sun finally started to rise. The drive home was quiet, but every shadow in the mirror made me tense, every set of headlights made my pulse spike. And sometimes, late at night when I drive alone, I swear I see him again. That black truck, lingering in the distance, waiting for another chance. If you enjoyed these chilling tales and want more, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel for more scary stories.